I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Don't go through a breakup alone. Click on the link in the description below to get a one-on-one coaching with me, or go to my website, askcraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about it completely fell apart. So, it's so important to think about who you're getting into a relationship with before you actually get into that relationship. There are many times where we completely ignore major red flags, and it could be very costly. Maybe not in the short term, but even way down the road in the long term. You need to make sure that you have somebody that is healthy, emotionally available, that they've worked through their issues in life, that they've dealt with things. Otherwise, things can come up in life like a trauma, which can trigger all kinds of symptoms and feelings from the past of these unmet things, and you'll wind up getting your heart broken, because you always have to remember that anytime you date somebody or get into a relationship, you're risking heartbreak. And I got a really sad email here from a guy who was dating a woman for 8 years, and they were living together for 7 of those years. And this is what I'm talking about, guys, where you have to really look at the person and see if they can do it, because something can come along in life where they just completely fall apart. And unfortunately for this guy here, let me go ahead and explain the story a little bit. He's in his 40s and she's in her mid-30s. Now, they each have kids. He has one and she has several other kids. They don't have any kids together. Now, they have been together for 8 years and living together for 7 of those. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the breakup here. He says, up until about a year ago, we had a great relationship. We have 5 kids. 1 is mine, 4 are from her previous relationships. But I call them my own because we have bonded so much, and I know exactly what that feels like. You get so attached to somebody else's kids because it's unconditional love with a child, right? It's not like you have all these expectations of they need to do this in the relationship or that. You just take care of them and you love them and you enjoy them, and it's really easy to get attached, and it can be extremely difficult during a breakup to let them go. And I know firsthand what that's like, because that was the worst part of one of my breakups, was that there was a little girl who was just turning 3. You know, so I know what it's like. And this guy, he's attached to 4 of these kids when this this shake-up occurred. Shake-up is a terrible way to describe this breakup. It's a shake-up breakup. So, let's see here. What happened? Her ex, their best friend, or her best friend, died of cancer. And his ex took it really hard. I only imagine. You know, I lost my mom to cancer, and it was really difficult, and you really can't prepare for it. You really have no idea what it's like until you're actually going through it. It's really an incredibly painful time to see somebody go through like that, and you just know there's nothing you could do for them. And, you know, it's not just cancer. It could be any kind of health issues, really. But, so, her best friend passed away from cancer, and she took it really hard. Now, he tried to be really supportive of her, and it sounded like he was trying really hard. He said she went off the rails, losing interest in her job, the kids, and even me. All at once, I became dad, mom, partner, support, provider, everything. Can you imagine how overwhelming that is? And it sounds like this guy tried really hard. I'm sure he must have gotten to the point where he was getting angry and frustrated. Now, what I told him to look at is if he didn't. Because if this has been going on for a while, and he's just doing without looking at how he's feeling about the situation, he might be repressing it, and he might be suppressing his anger. And if that's the case, I suggest he has an anxious attachment style, because people that have an anxious attachment style have spent their entire life suppressing their own needs to please their parents. I don't want to put any demand on my parents because they can't handle it. And if they can't handle it, I'm risking my relationship with them. If I'm risking my relationship with them, I'm risking death. Get it? This is all the stuff that happens in our early life. And we don't consciously think about it. But I just brought that up because my gut is telling me he's probably suppressing those feelings of anger and frustration. And he's probably getting a little resentful deep down. And he should. You know, because all of a sudden all the burdens are on him. And he's only got one of those kids. Those other four, those are her kids. Now, I know he doesn't feel like that, but that's just the reality of the situation. He said the kids are his world, so there wasn't anything that I wouldn't do for her. Yeah, I've been in that situation. When you, like I said, with the kids involved, you'll do anything to make them happy and to be there for them. She went through a crisis, even as far to change her appearance, her look, and her hair, her attitude. Every day she would tell me how much she loved me and cared about me and appreciated everything I did, and the only partner she has ever felt safe and secure and trusted with. Her other relationships have involved abuse. So this makes me think she had attachment trauma growing up. And I don't know what happened here. If the death of her best friend just made her completely shake up her reality and realize how fragile life is. I think that had a lot to do with what happened here. But he says, about 4 months ago, the first time in 8 years, I decided to have a break with my friends and have a little me time for a few days. See, he was probably feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. When I got back, she told me how much she loved me and missed me, and how she couldn't live without me or bear the thought of never being with her. And she meant that at that time. She even asked me to marry her, which of course I said yes. Our relationship felt stronger. Our sex life went through the roof. It was great. Sounds good to me. But then, about 3 months ago, my daughter broke her leg, which meant a lot of appointments, which I had to attend. I work nights, so over 4 days I had about 7 hours sleep because she worked days. He must have been absolutely exhausted. He said it led to our first argument we had had in 8 years. One argument in 8 years? That doesn't even seem humanly possible. Like, how could you only have one argument in 8 years? Are you just allowing her to do whatever she wants to you? And you just don't get mad? Are you suppressing your feelings, your emotions that much? You might want to look into that. How could two human beings be in a relationship for 8 years and have one argument? Well, this is where it really gets interesting. If that wasn't interesting enough, she then said she had enough and it was over. I couldn't understand. I was mortified and crushed. We were only just planning our wedding, and then this. Wow. One argument, and that it was over. One argument in 8 years. She said the kids were devastated and couldn't believe it, but I told them to let her cool off and everything would be fine. A week later, she went out with her friend. Something felt wrong. So I went, and this part doesn't make any sense. I really got to start proofreading some of these things. He said, so I went to hers that night and found out she was with another guy. Ouch. Unbelievable. Could you imagine this guy's world just completely crumbling down? Like, it's horrible. He's doing everything he can for this relationship. She's saying, I love you, I miss you, I want to be with you, let's get married. And then he finds out she's out with another guy. She said that she didn't feel anything for me anymore. I couldn't believe it. My world had fallen apart. Yes, guys, this is what makes breakups so difficult, is because women are very, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say not honorable to their feelings. They're loyal to their feelings, I guess is a good way of putting it. So however they're feeling in that moment is how they're going to go with. So a few weeks prior, she felt like she could love this guy for the rest of her life. And then a few weeks later, she didn't feel anything anymore. And did you see how she was loyal to how she was feeling in the moment? And the moment she felt like she could marry him and spend her life with him, so she was like, yeah, let's do it. And then she said, I don't have feelings. And she went out with another guy and said, I don't feel anything for you anymore. Ouch. Alright. I found out that this guy is 10 years younger and he lives almost an hour and a half away. I begged, pleaded, and cried not to do this, only because of everything we had shared and the children as well. She didn't listen. Of course, I could have told you that was going to happen. She said I was her best friend and didn't want to lose that friendship, and we should try and remain friends for the sake of the children. Hell no. You can do it. I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. No way. I'm going to be friends with somebody that just cheated on me behind my back after 8 years? I don't think so. You're not my friend. My friend wouldn't do that to me. A friend wouldn't do that to you, would they? No. They would at least be honest and courteous enough to have a conversation with you, not just go mess around with somebody else behind your back. Not okay in my book. Alright. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but I agreed with her in hopes of being the better person, that hopefully, if I continued to be there for her and the children, that she would drop this long-distance relationship and see me as the better choice. Nope. I know it feels like that's the answer, but it's not. Because you're now living on her terms, and you're showing her that you're okay with not having a romantic relationship. And you're not okay with it. So why are you acting like you're okay with it? You can't go against with how you're really feeling and what you're really wanting. And you can't suppress those things. It's not okay to do that. She's not going to respect you. Because she knows you want to be with her romantically. You were just begging her. And now you're saying, okay, I'll settle for, second best. You're being submissive to her. It's not secure. It's not confident. I'm finding it hard because of the kids, because their relationship with their mom has gone down so bad with the way she's neglected them that I'm trying to pull out all the stops to get it back with her because I love her so much despite what has happened. I want us to be a family again and want my girl back. Get this guy out of the way who doesn't care anything about her, but while I hope still feed this fantasy life of hers that this new guy will never happen. It's just lust, a fling, a midlife crisis. I don't know. I truly am so sorry that you're going through this because that is absolutely horrific. And I can't even imagine what it's like to be with somebody for 8 years and then they all of a sudden go from wanting to marry you to cheating on you in a matter of weeks. And, it's tough. I mean, it sounds like you were investing so much, and that is probably part of the issue here, is that when you allow one person to do all the investing, the other person just kind of loses interest in the relationship. It's got to be both of you working on things. And I think that it sounds like you were allowing her to just get out of her responsibilities of being a mom because you were trying to be supportive, but I don't think it helped your case. I think it just made it easier for her to go live her fantasy life. And you're right, it is a fling. It is lust. And, I'm not going to sit here and judge and say whether or not you should take her back. That's, only something that you can answer. She's being extremely selfish. She isn't showing any signs of interest or correcting things or making things better or working on herself. She's even neglecting her own kids. Because she would rather live in this fantasy and go out and fantasize about this guy, which, it's all about the chemicals she's getting from the romance aspect of it. And it's not okay. I mean, for me, for you to have this attitude of begging to take her back. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't break this family up. She did. You were the one trying to do everything for her and the kids. And at some point, I don't know the ages of the kids, but, you got to have respect for yourself. You can't allow somebody to walk all over you and do this to you. Alright, so there's a little bit more here. He said, during the breakup, he begged, pleaded, cried, panicked, which is completely understandable. That's called primal panic. Separation anxiety. Our body just has this uncontrollable need to connect with our loved ones, and when there's a disconnect, it causes major anxiety. And I highly suggest you guys watch my video, The Real Reason Relationships Fail and Are You Ready for a Relationship? Because if you don't really thoroughly look at your partner before you get into that relationship, you are really risking heartbreak. And nobody wants to do that. Yet, very few people want to actually look at whether or not the person they're just jumping into a relationship with is going to be a good partner. And a lot of that is because if you've had a lot of unmet needs. So if you grew up having a lot of your needs neglected, you're going to be so hungry and desperate for attention and love and all of those things that you didn't get met in your childhood. You're so desperate to get them from your romantic partner that you're going to jump at the first thing that comes your way. And you're not going to be thinking it through. And you really need to. Otherwise you're going to wind up in a situation like this. And this poor guy, what can he do? He can't. Begging and pleading for her is not going to help get her back. He hasn't done anything wrong. As a matter of fact, she needs to come to him and throw herself at the mercy of the court and be like, look, I can't believe I did that. It was horrible. I'm so sorry. And she needs to be the one investing in getting you back. I would say don't be so quick to suppress your anger or your feelings in a relationship just in order to stay with somebody or have them love you. You can't do that. And I would leave her alone completely. Just move on. I know it's going to be incredibly difficult, but she needs to fear losing you before she gets her act together. She needs to see, oh wow, he's really not sitting there waiting for me, taking care of my kids, while I'm out having an affair with a guy an hour and a half away. I know this is going to be a really, really difficult time for you, and you have to do things to take care of yourself right now. Get some exercise. Do things that you enjoy. I know it's going to be tough. Exercise is critical because your body does release stress hormones that during a breakup that cause you to feel even worse. And so you want to try and do things to make yourself feel a little bit better. Talking about it is absolutely critical, guys. That's how we heal. That is absolutely how we heal from things. talking about it is the best thing that you can do. That's why I know the real value in everything that I do is when you guys come to me and we do our Skypes together. You're going to feel so much better. And it's so easy to do. Just go to my website, askcraig.net, click on schedule a session, and chat with me. We'll talk about everything. We'll come up with a plan. You will feel so much better talking with me, talking with a professional about it, and knowing, that I'm going to see a lot of things objectively that no one else is going to see. So if you like my video, just put a like on there, and remember to subscribe to the channel because I do post videos Monday through Friday. That's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.